You drinking doo-doo
Yeah,
juice?
dude, I'm drinking coffee, bro. It's fucking
Dude,
delicious.
Oh,
doo-doo juice.
it doesn't look like coffee in that jar.
All right, here we go. PFC, we're back at it. Wow, coming off the devastation that I'm sure all of you are feeling real crappy this morning about. We're talking about the U.S. men's national team officially missing out on the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Figured we'd do a quick reaction video. I'm here with Tom and Fareed. Let's get into it, boys.
30 years. First time in 30 years.
Crazy, man.
All the money, all the players come back to the MLS. We're with DA program, all the programs we're going for, none of them working.
Dude,
Investing billions into the
Billions.
infrastructure
That's
of
a B.
U.S. youth soccer and professional soccer with MLS, and still can't find a way to qualify.
it's ridiculous, man. To Fareed's point, saying investing all this money, players coming back into the MLS. I've been against this since day freaking one, man. MLS is a good league. It's improving every year. It's getting better and better, but it will never be Europe, no matter how much money is put into it. You got China over there as well, trying to create, a European league equivalent. They're finding a hard time too, man. Teams are running out of money. They can't attract talent. They can't develop homegrown talent. When your best players are playing in your crappy domestic league, no offense, MLS, I mean crappy in comparison to Europe, there is absolutely no way you can expect these guys to step up on the big stage. Michael Bradley came home too early. Dempsey came home too early. Tim Howard, okay, maybe not too early, but you saw Tim Howard yesterday. He wasn't the same Tim Howard we've seen at Everton, man. And I blame that on playing low-quality opponents week in, week out.
Both those goals, untouchable.
Yeah, I mean,
no. The first one, the own goal, he jumped
ridiculous.
too early, man. The own goal, he jumped too early. If you watch his jump, he's coming down before the ball is even over his head. I blame that on just not being sharp.
It's a loop.
He's definitely like a less athletic version of Tim Howard, but I mean,
Yes.
that own goal, even on Omar Gonzalez, like that's one where it's just so unlucky. It loops over the goalkeeper.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's laziness. It's fucking laziness,
It's
man.
lazy? How's
He
that
just puts
lazy,
his-
man?
Because he needs to get his body right.
Yeah.
You got to get his body around the ball so he can clear with his right foot. Any
Bro, there was a
back in the world.
striker
He just-
on him. It's not like it was a free attack.
Watch it again. Watch it again. Zero limited pressure. The guy put his toe in. That's all he did. And and the donkey just swung his leg. And it hit me in the shin. Oh.
Yeah,
God
okay.
damn.
And the second one, I'll give it to him. It's a rocket. But again, watch how high Tim Howard jumps, man. I think it's a hell of a goal. But, man, if Tim Howard is at Everton having to save Aguero shots, having to save Jesus shots, having to save Lukaku shots, I think he gets a little more spring in his legs. Problem is, he's in Colorado chilling, having a good time. And, look, he deserves it, man. The dude's been an absolute beast his whole career. But my point is, if you want to make the World Cup, there's a reason why Jesus didn't stay in his domestic league. There's a reason why Ronaldo didn't stay in his domestic league. There's a reason why Messi, all these players leave their domestic leagues. Yes, they still love their country. They still support their country. But you cannot have your best U.S. talent playing in MLS. There's a reason why Pulisic is the only dude on that pitch doing work, man.
Balling, man, and he tried to rescue him. He did his best, got the goal to pull it back, but it just wasn't enough. It was too little, too late. I think Alexi Lawless, we have our own Alexi Lawless on right now for Reed. But
Come on, Josie out the door. Where are you, bro? We need you. Step up.
Did his rant come too early?
Come on.
Because if his rant maybe came last night,
right
before the actual Trinidad game, maybe he could have actually boosted him up. But they kind of blew their load with the Panama game. They thought they were all set, and then they knew they had to handle business. But Alexi Lawless, man, timing is of the essence. We needed you yesterday.
Brilliant. I'm glad the USA didn't make it. I'm happy because this country needs an overhaul. This shit is not working. It's terrible to watch. It's flat out embarrassing. Six teams in a group. You can't get in the top 4.
That's ridiculous.
That's you real?
Embarrassing for the U.S.
Bruce Arena came out and said that he'd like to see one of the big dogs from Europe come and compete in this bracket because it's tough.
Wow.
Tough.
Wow.
Trinidad?
And Panama, dude. Panama and Honduras made it to the World Cup before the U.S. did. Are you kidding me?
Mexico ran away with the group because there's no competition. I surrender.
Everyone's going in. I don't know where to fix it, though, because the foundation seems to be shaky
need.
in its own.
Everything.
Klinsman has critiqued it for a long time, and people now saying that, oh, Bruce Arena was the right guy or Klinsman was the wrong guy. I don't think it matters, man. I think it starts at the base of the whole thing, and the fact that the U.S. is already behind several years compared to other countries, other nations who have been playing. I don't think we'll ever see, honestly, the United States win a World Cup, but for them to take a step back and not even qualify, that's the scary part. That's where you got to really analyze what's going wrong.
Yeah, I
Bruce
think
Arena, go ahead.
Okay. I think
Go
it's
ahead.
time. It's time for change, man. It's time for change. I've always been against, and I know you boys work for clubs, but I've always been against a club charging in excess of $1,000 for a kid to play the sport, man. It's not that kind of sport. I understand that clubs have to make money to pay for things, stadium time, all that stuff, but man, the best talent goes wasted because those kids in the hood can't afford $1,000 to play. I was one of those kids. I couldn't afford to play for one of the premier soccer clubs
$1,000
in the country. No, I'm saying $1,000
or $4 now. Nowadays, it's 3,000 plus to travel, for the uniforms, for the track suits, to participate in tournaments. It's an excess of 3,000.
It's
at the top.
crazy,
Like,
dude. So what's gonna happen to that kid in the that kid with athletic ability, that Mexican kid or that black kid or even that white kid, living in a poor neighborhood?
They're talented, but they can't play as much. They can't play in the biggest, brightest tournaments, so they don't ever achieve their full potential because of that.
It's ridiculous, man. And that's where it has to change, man. That's where, and I know MLS is doing a better job of finding talent and getting the MLS youth programs going. That's a big plus. And the other thing that hurts U.S. soccer is that college system, man. You go to a program for 4 years, and what's the objective of that coach? It's not development. In the age of 18 to 22, those are probably your prime years of development. We're watching Rashford right now, a few other players developing in that age bracket. Pulisic. And what is the U.S. men's national team doing? Picking up players from the college system. Now, I don't blame them for it because you got to get your talent where you can get your talent. But those 4 years, man, should be spent at an MLS kind of like reserve league or youth league or something like that.
Europe.
Development, or Europe. Fantastic call for it. Or Europe, where the goal is to develop talent, not necessarily to win a college championship that at the end of the day means
graduate school, get good grades. That's the focus.
Exactly.
The coach wants to make sure every kid he brings in graduates and does well, so he gets more money to bring in more players the following year. It's a simple equation.
Look, here's the issue though. If the focus right now in U.S. soccer in terms of the college route is the education, right? So education is valued higher than MLS soccer.
Yeah.
And honestly, I understand that because MLS, the average player in MLS is making 40 to 50,000 a year, versus in Europe where these guys are making millions, hundreds of thousands.
Even, yeah, but Tom, the average kid that comes out of school, man, obviously we're not talking doctors, lawyers, accountants, but the average kid coming out of school is making 40, 50 grand a year anyway.
I get that, but there's still more emphasis culturally on getting a degree, getting an education, versus Europe where we see a lot of these guys who they dedicate their lives to soccer and they break their legs, and that's kind of like the con of the other side.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is, man? You can start high school at 40 if you want. Now, obviously, you can't join a regular high school, but you can get your GED. You know what I mean? So what's this? What's this rush to get this education, dude? Athletic ability expires around the age of 30 to 35. Different for different people. Obviously, there are 40-year-olds out there still doing it, the Ryan Giggses of the world. But in general, from 30 to 35, athletic ability ceases to exist. Your brain continues to develop, man. You can start school at 35 after your career's done. Let's say you break your leg at 22. Okay, get a government loan. Go to school. Like, the loans are there. The scholarships are there. Dude, what's this obsession with getting school done so quickly? I don't get it.
It's a cultural thing, and I think that, look, there's some teams, the Revs, doing a good job of developing players, not charging these players the best of the talent. Like, they don't pay to play for the Revolution Academy.
That's the MLS Academy thing.
But then you have the Development Academy. But then you have a step below that, ECNL, which is the next biggest in terms of competitive, the next biggest club competitions. Youth club competitions, and that's where people are charging excess amounts of money. And in order to really participate in those tournaments, your family has to have money. So there's a disconnect there. And
Yeah,
I don't want to go on too long, but bottom line is U.S. men's national team. There's a flaw in the foundation, and that's my take.
Bradley out. Altidore out. Omar out.
Hey man, they don't have a Dempsey out. They don't have a choice. You're right. I mean, there's no major national tournament for the next 4 years. You can call the CONCACAF Gold Cup a major tournament, but it's garbage.
Who's in? One player, Christian Pulisic. It's the only player that's in right now for me. The only player.
1 versus 11.
Build it around him.
What happened to Julian Green? What happened to Julian Green?
He did the flip and the flop.
All right. Well, there you have it, man. Some passionate responses. I'm sure you guys will be seeing all kinds of videos for the next few months about this absolute debacle. But
absolute shambles.
Absolute shambles, man. Absolute shocking. Like Fareed said, a group of 6 nations. In that group of 6, there's only 1.5 competitive teams. No disrespect to Costa Rica, but they're up and down every qualifying group. It should have been the U.S., Mexico, and then the rest can figure it out. But man, reality kicked in. Reality bites. It's been 30 years since the U.S. missed the World Cup. What's going to happen next?
We're on to Qatar.
Thanks for listening, guys. Check us out every week. We got a podcast going. Check it out on iTunes. Check it out on the Google Play Store. Everywhere you get your podcasts. We are out there doing this kind of work, doing this kind of grungy discussions about the beautiful game that we all love. Thank you for checking us out. Peace.
Fuck you, Bruce.